You are on the JRB Tree Climbing channel and you are on the playlist, the JRB Climbing Method. This video is kind of a redo. We're going to redo the video on how we build the Garda Hitch Footloop because there have been some developments. Since I initially released that video, we've made some changes, and what we've done is we've integrated our redundancy method into the footloop. And so we're going to get into that, and then we're going to build a footloop. But first, let me give you some perspective for what we're doing today. This is my climbing method, which is a stationary but doubled rope. And my footloop uses this device called a Garda Hitch. It is two carabiners wedded together tightly with this bull hitch variant that I'm going to teach you how to tie. And we engage it on the line this way. You're not going to believe that this actually can capture a rope, but I clip it through both beaners like so. I take both strands of rope, put it over the top and through that top beaner, and believe it or not, that's a progress capture device. It's effectively a friction hitch, and it will hold load in one direction. What we've done since the original video is we've integrated our redundancy. Even though it's our footloop, if anything should go wrong, like a friction hitch were to slip, we've got our redundant bridge on our saddle, and we clip into a redundant connection to the Garda Hitch, and that allows me to climb in this fashion. If anything were to go wrong with my friction hitches, I come down, I'm safely on the Garda Hitch. So that's the idea with the redundancy, and I'm going to show you how to build one. Now, if you do some research on the Garda Hitch, they're not renowned as being extremely reliable, and that's because all of the conventional wisdom on how to tie a Garda Hitch uses a girth hitch inside of these beaners, and I've come up with this bull hitch variant that I use when engaging with webbing, and I use a clove hitch when engaging with cord. So I'm going to effectively build one of these. This is 1-inch nylon webbing. I'm going to repeat that using 1-inch polyester webbing. I'm going to show you a couple variants before I do so. This version I'll be rebuilding today uses 14 feet of 1-inch webbing. Now, I realize we've got some international viewers, so that's effectively your height times 2 is long enough to build a footloop, but if you want 2 overhand knots, you should add a foot or 30 centimeters on each side. So for me, being almost 6 feet tall, that's 12 feet plus 2, 14 feet total will build this. If I were to go with just double my height, this was built with 12 feet of webbing, and it's enough for a single knot. And I've tested this extensively. This is strong and secure and has never budged an inch, but we like additional security, so what's a couple feet of webbing for a little extra security? Also, I won't go into detail of the simplest possible variant of a footloop. Maybe you're an SRT climber or a DRT climber and you just want to grip the rope. Well, that's that same bull hitch variant and a water knot to close a loop. I've built these with tubular webbing. I can't say I'm a huge fan. This is climb spec tubular webbing, but it's thicker, and so this knot here is very, very bulky, and I don't like it. So I do prefer flat webbing to tubular, and this variant would just be an extra short one. But for our redundancy, as I demonstrated, we need a longer foot loop so that our redundant bridge can engage that Garda Hitch. Okay, so let's build a foot loop. First thing you'll need is that 14 feet of webbing. The second thing you're going to need are your beaners, and this is important. You can't just use any carabiners for your Garda Hitch. I use either D-style or oval straight gate carabiners. So if you look at them from profile view, there's no gates here, and the gate is just as wide as the body of the carabiner. And I've learned that there's some or lack of uniformity in the industry. These are called D-style. These are actually called oval. And I just discovered these. These are made by Fusion. They're considered oval, and they go by the product name Supreme, but they're slightly larger. This is a 1 1/4 inch inside. These are 1 1/2, and I have to say these are my favorite because the rope just flows through them, especially bigger or thicker ropes. Now, products may come and go over the years, and this video will last longer, so I just want you to have some idea of what to shop for. Oval or D-style, non-locking, straight gate carabiners, and ideally as wide as possible. Okay, so let's get started. Got that 14 feet of webbing here, and the first thing I'm going to do is locate the midpoint. I'm going to flip around so we can get a better look. So I'm going to locate the midpoint in this fashion. All right, so there's my midpoint. The bull hitch variant uses about 14 inches, and so I'm going to estimate 7 inches and start building it from there. And so get in tight here to watch this. It's kind of like tying a necktie. I'm going to take the strap, put it around the back a second time, and as I come around, 2 complete turns. So I've got 2 strands of webbing on the front, I've got 2 strands on the back. I take this and I go over the top. Now, this might be a little hard to follow with the video, but I'm going to go over the top, and I'm going to go down behind both of those strands, and you'll see the finished product when that slips out the other side. A little tricky to follow, but just watch that disappear. And the finished product has got 2 strands of webbing up on top. It's got 2 on the front and 2 on the back. This is my bull hitch variant. What's special about it, what's different than the average bull hitch, it's got 1 extra half turn. 1 piece of webbing goes up the right side, 1 goes up the left side. So it's balanced. It's going to engage those beaners in a uniform manner and cinch them tightly. And this thing is highly dependable. Okay, so now I'm going to put my 2 beaners in, and this hitch has a natural angle to it, and so I'm gonna match that with my carabiners. I want my carabiner to sit like that inside of the bull hitch. So I'll go in this way. Perfect. Let's grab a second one. Do my best to stay in the field of view here. And there we've got that bull hitch variant. Now, I'm gonna go upside down now. I'm gonna put these beaners between my feet just to hold them. We're not in a lab here. Okay. Did pretty good with my length. What I'm gonna do now is make 2 successive overhand knots. Well, where am I going to do that? At what height? Roughly, with those beaners between my feet, I reach down to roughly just above my kneecap, pinch that together, and now I'm going to make, with everything tidy and neat, I'm going to make an overhand knot capturing all 4 strands of webbing. Now I made that overhand knot to the left. Now I'm going to make a second overhand knot, and I'll make this one to the right. I can manage that. What that does is, because the overhand knot puts an angle in the mechanism, this will neutralize the angle. So we get one angle to the left, one angle to the right. Get any extra kinks out of there. Okay, so there we've got a Garda Hitch Footloop, and I'm going to set it by engaging it on the line with my body weight. Let's flip around. Again, push it through the lines, up and over the top. So I'm going to put, it's got 2 loops, so I can use it with 2 feet. I typically don't, but let's go ahead and get it set. So that Garda hitch I just built, it's ready to take load. All we need to do is put our, as I call it, my best friend, my redundancy, put that on the line, and I've taken the liberty of fashioning that in advance. This is a simple piece of 8mm cord. I typically use 42 inches. I cut this 48. Again, your dimensions might vary slightly, and all I do with that is make a clove hitch. There's the clove hitch. And I'm going to let that sit in the beaners like this. We're pushing daylight today, so hopefully I've got enough light for you to follow what I've done there. Okay. Tidy that up. And so now I'm ready to test this. Put it on the line. Put my foot in the loop. By engaging the Garda hitch in that fashion, unlike my other video where I engaged it basically backwards in terms of polarity, the gates are facing away from me, so the best friend is facing towards me. Everything sits in a nice orientation. So let's go ahead and sit in that. Again, if something were to happen north of me in the system, I want to be able to endure a failure of both friction hitches. Both friction hitches have disappeared, they're holding nothing, and I am safely on the best friend system. Okay. Take that off of the line. And I guess the last thing I want to show you, I realized that the JRB climbers climb with a double line system, but also on this tree is a single line system. And although I'm not going to climb it, I'll take that Garda hitch one last time and I'll have you watch me engage it on a single line. Through both lines, up and over the top, and through the first one. That'll take load immediately. We change the height in this fashion. And if we ever want to take slack out of it, can't be done unless it's not under tension. So I take the tension off, I basically turn it upside down. And with it in that fashion, I can draw line back. Flip it around, it engages immediately. Okay, so there you have it, the Garda Hitch Footloop, part of the JRB climbing system. Thank you, be safe.